Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a massive global shift in human mortality. We're going to look closely at the main risk factors for the most prevalent non-communicable diseases, or NCDs, and we'll explore a targeted design of interventions to actually address them. To make this super practical, we use the world's absolute biggest killer, cardiovascular disease, specifically coronary heart disease, as our prime example.
Here's a quick roadmap for today. We'll start with the macro health trends, zoom into the pathology of heart disease, rank its top culprits, and finish up by building a 30-day lifestyle solution to combat it.
Section 1. The Global Shift. Demographic Transition. Okay, so this brilliantly illustrates what we call the epidemiological transition. As countries develop, our primary health threats completely shift. We move away from the age of pestilence and famine, where environmental pathogens, infectious outbreaks, and poor sanitation drove high childhood mortality. Instead, we enter the age of degenerative diseases. Here, the burden shifts heavily to non-communicable diseases, things like heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. The danger is no longer just external threats. It's these chronic, long-duration illnesses that are largely driven by our own internal biological wear and tear, and honestly, our daily lifestyle choices.
Section 2. Heart disease threat, the global leading killer. Now, to figure out how to effectively fight coronary heart disease, or CHD, we can't just randomly list out bad habits. We have to rank its causes using a specific metric called the attributable risk fraction. Basically, this means a risk factor ranks higher on our list if it is both highly prevalent in the general population and it strongly drives serious clinical endpoints, like a myocardial infarction, or in everyday terms, a heart attack.
Section 3. Ranking risk factors. Targeting CHD causes.
Let's look at the heavy hitters, the top 4 modifiable risk factors. Coming in at number 1 globally is dyslipidemia, which is abnormal blood lipids. Basically, excess LDL particles literally infiltrate the damaged lining of your coronary arteries, which kickstarts the buildup of dangerous plaque. This is followed very closely by tobacco smoking. Smoking introduces combustion toxins that profoundly damage that exact same arterial lining. And these top 2, well, they act synergistically with the third factor, hypertension, which creates mechanical shear stress that actually thickens your arterial walls. And the fourth, diabetes, which makes your blood highly prone to clotting. It's a truly dangerous combo.
Rounding out the modifiable factors, we see visceral obesity at number 5. Now, this isn't just inactive weight, right? Excess visceral fat acts like an active endocrine factory. It constantly secretes inflammatory chemicals that directly drive insulin resistance. Then, number 6 is chronic psychosocial stress, which triggers a sustained activation of your body's stress response, keeping your cortisol levels elevated. And number 7, simply a lack of movement. Sedentary living impairs nitric oxide production, and that's the crucial molecule that keeps our blood vessels relaxed and healthy.
Now, shifting gears to the things we actually cannot control. Factors 8 through 10 are your non-modifiable demographic baselines: age, genetics, and biological sex. Progressive biological aging just naturally causes arterial stiffening over time. Genetics can hand you an inherited predisposition to aggressive plaque buildup, and biological sex plays a big role too, since endogenous estrogens provide vascular protection to women prior to menopause. You can't change these 3 factors, for sure, but it's vital to know about them because they basically amplify the clinical impact of all those modifiable lifestyle habits we just talked about.
So having seen this pretty daunting countdown of forces working against our cardiovascular system, we have to ask ourselves a really empowering question. Is it actually possible to engineer a lifestyle intervention that intercepts and even begins to reverse this vascular damage in just 30 days?
Section 4. Lifestyle Intervention. Hearthstone Metamorphosis.
This particular intervention is built entirely on the trans-theoretical model of change, which is essentially a psychological stepladder. Because participants check into an intensive 30-day program, they're systematically advanced from simply contemplating and preparing for better health straight into the action phase. And more importantly, the program is structurally engineered to arm them with the clinical and behavioral tools they need to maintain these new habits forever once they head back home.
Section 5. 3 health pillars. Targeted interventions.
The first pillar isn't just about handing someone a rigid, boring diet plan. It's called the culinary medicine track. The goal here is mastery, not just rule following. It's about mastering grocery sourcing and spotting hidden sugar so you never have to depend on a facility to eat well. They run thrice-weekly interactive cooking workshops where folks actually build these habits to achieve total self-efficacy in the kitchen.
From a clinical standpoint, this pillar is incredibly precise.
Participants learned to build meals based on a Mediterranean-hybrid diet. They strictly capped their intake at 1,500 milligrams of sodium and under 7% saturated fat. But even more fascinating, they crank up their soluble fiber intake past 35 grams a day using things like beta-glucan and psyllium. Why? Well, because fiber acts like a physical sponge in your gut. It binds to bile acids and actively pulls cholesterol right out of your body, which directly combats our #1 risk factor, dyslipidemia.
Pillar 2 is the functional cardiorespiratory tract. Now, before anyone even laces up their sneakers, this track always starts with a comprehensive ECG heart scan and an exercise tolerance test. This establishes precise, perfectly safe metabolic boundaries for every single person. It entirely mitigates injury risks while rapidly building up their physical confidence. The core of this second pillar goes right after our 7th risk factor, a sedentary lifestyle. It involves 5 days a week of Zone 2 aerobic conditioning, scaling up to 45 minutes at 60 to 70% of their maximum heart rate. This specific zone is magic for stimulating long-term vascular remodeling. Then, that's paired with twice-weekly resistance training, which is a brilliant way to improve insulin sensitivity. It works by upregulating GLUT4 transporters in the muscle. You can think of these transporters as little cellular doorways that swing open to pull sugar right out of your blood, acting as a direct counterattack to risk factor number 4, insulin resistance.
And that brings us to the third pillar, the neurocardiac tract. This one is absolutely crucial for combating that 6th risk factor of chronic psychosocial stress. The goal here is not just, relaxing for a bit. It's about actively shifting coping strategies away from harmful habits, like emotional eating or smoking, and instead teaching the body true physiological downregulation.
The techniques they use here are amazing. Participants practice daily biofeedback to hit a resonant frequency of exactly 5.5 to 6 breaths per minute. This maximizes vagal nerve stimulation and restores healthy baroreflex sensitivity, which is basically your body's natural blood pressure thermostat. They combine this with biweekly cognitive behavioral stress management to unpack unhelpful cognitive distortions. And they use evening progressive muscle relaxation to actively lower blood pressure, suppress late-night adrenaline surges, and guarantee deep restorative sleep. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a profound realization about that global shift in health we discussed at the very beginning. Pathogens are no longer the primary executioners. Chronic biological wear and tear and lifestyle habits are. In our modern world, the daily choices we make about how we eat, how we move, and even how we breathe are the ultimate determinants of our lifespan. We have the data, and we literally have the blueprint for intervention. So thinking back to that trans-theoretical model of change, which stage of change are you ready to enter today?